Adjustable anti-roll bars are a really great tool for dialing your car in and getting the most out of it out on track. We've just fitted 3-way adjustable anti-roll bars to our BMW G87 M2 from Eibach, and in this video we're going to be putting them through their paces here at Anglesey circuit so we can show you how using adjustable anti-roll bars you can dial out mid-corner understeer or oversteer. Back in the workshop, we installed the adjustable Eibach anti-roll bars to our G87 M2. Now these are actually the first set in Europe, so we've been given them by Eibach to do some development with and also do some data collection. And this is actually where it gets really exciting for us because we've just fitted our G87 M2 with some really cool new sensors. Now they're laser level sensors, which you're often seen on LMP1 cars, and they're mounted at all 4 corners of the car, pointed at the ground in its most extreme corners. What these do, they point at the ground and they measure in real time the actual ride height of the vehicle. Then they are logged directly back to our V-Box. So in real time, we can actually measure how much roll or pitch the car actually has out on track. Therefore, we can actually measure how much of a difference these anti-roll bars have made over the stock bars, and also how much of a difference is made between the different adjustments on the bar. Now, fitting adjustable anti-roll bars is a really great upgrade to make to a track car because it keeps the whole chassis a lot flatter and more controlled through the corner, which keeps the geometry more stable and maintained through the corner as well. This increases grip levels and gives more consistency and a much faster car out on track. However, if you go too stiff on the anti-roll bars, it can actually unload the inside tyre, which reduces overall axle grip, and that can lead to understeer or oversteer. So that's why it's really nice to have adjustable anti-roll bars fitted to the car, so you can fine tune how stiff you want each axle to be, and you can manage this balance out on track. So we can see here the adjustable anti-roll bars in red inside the wheel arch, and they have 3 holes in them on each side. The furthest hole is full soft and the closest hole to the bar is full stiff. And we can move our sway bar in link or drop link between these holes to alter how stiff or soft that anti-roll bar is. On the Eibach anti-roll bars in full soft, they're actually the same as a CS model, so an M2 CS. Uprated anti-roll bar would be the same stiffness as these anti-roll bars in their softest setting. We then have 2 stages of stiffness more, so we can go even stiffer than the anti-roll bars on the CS, which is a really nice feature. Now, anti-roll bar tuning is most effective at the mid-corner section of a corner. This is because at the mid-corner, the car is in a transient state and it's actually stopped rotating and rolling, so the dampers have effectively stopped working at that point. This is why damper tuning doesn't affect the actual apex behavior of a car, because they've physically stopped moving. The car has stopped rolling. It's in a static state in terms of roll, and then it's got to go through the apex, and then as it comes back out, it will use the dampers again. So at that apex point, the most effective way to tune the car is with an anti-roll bar or with the coil spring itself. Now, the beauty of an anti-roll bar is it is only really effective through a corner when it's physically being twisted from left to right. This means it's active during cornering and not active in a straight line in a circumstance such as heavy braking or under heavy throttle. This means we can directly use the anti-roll bar just to tune out mid-corner oversteer and understeer. So if we're having understeer out on track, what we can do is either soften the front anti-roll bar or stiffen the rear anti-roll bar. This is going to help with understeer out on track. If we've got oversteer out on track, what we can do is we can stiffen the front anti-roll bar or soften the rear anti-roll bar. And this is going to really help with the load transfer across the axle, and it's going to move that distribution from understeer to oversteer bias depending which way we go. So with that in mind, we're going to get our anti-roll bars set to middle at the front and middle at the rear. This means we have a window of opportunity to move forwards or backwards, stiffer or softer at the front and the rear of the car. We're going to get Chris Diamond, our professional racing driver, in the car. He's going to head out for a few different sessions, and every single time he's going to come back in. We're going to talk to him about how the car is behaving at the apex, and we're then going to make an adjustment to a front or a rear roll bar to help shift that distribution in the direction we want it to go. We're going to keep on doing that today until we get this car set up to a point where we have the most optimum balance based on where we've set these anti-roll bars. So we're going to get him in the car now and head out on track and start fine-tuning these roll bars. On the left screen, we have the car fitted with the OEM anti-roll bar, and on the right, we have it fitted with the Eibach anti-roll bars, both set to full stiff, just to show you the biggest difference between the adjustable roll bars and the stock roll bars. Now, on the top left of each screen, we've got this moving plane. Now, that represents the actual base of the car, the chassis itself, and as that moves around, it shows how the car is actually moving around out on track, visually representing the movement in millimeters, which is really cool to see it like this. Sometimes you can see the difference out the windscreen in relation to the bonnet and the ground, but not in this level of detail. And the data we can extract from this is exact. So we know exactly how much different the car's been moving around. Even through this corner, you can see on the colour graphs that the OEM roll bars are moving way up into the red. Whereas by comparison, the Eibach roll bars are just kissing into the red zone, which shows a difference of about 20 millimeters per side in the highest load corners. Now that's a 40 millimeter overall difference in actual chassis roll, which is really quite a lot. And we could actually see this out on track as well. So really quite impressive to see the chassis moving around live with the overlay on the V-Box. So once we had that overlay complete, we then moved the roll bars to full soft, so we could overlay the full soft position front and rear versus full stiff position front and rear, just to show what difference it makes over the chassis between the softest settings and the stiffest settings. And again, the difference was actually really quite impressive. What we saw was the chassis was moving around 10 millimeters less per side in the highest load corners in the full stiff setting compared to the full soft, which again, that's 20 millimeters of overall chassis movement out on track in the highest load corners. And you can actually see that as we get into the mid corner sections of each corner. So here, as we clip in the apexes, it's a bit different here under heavy braking, but as we come through the apex here, you can visibly see that the right-hand plane is tilted a lot less than the left-hand plane. And that is visually possible as well. When you're actually watching the car go around track, you could see how much flatter it was into turn one, which is a really high-speed corner after the pit straight. And the car visibly looked a lot flatter. Now, we obviously have the feedback from Chris as well, based on how this car felt to drive in these different positions, but just having this data from the laser sensors so we can physically measure it in real time is really cool to watch, so we can see exactly what difference these changes actually make to the car.
So we've just finished now tuning the anti-roll bars on the G87. We've landed in a really nice balance with these roll bars as they are. So we started off the day with full soft front and rear, and then we moved to full stiff front and rear, and the purposes of that was because we are also developing these roll bars with Eibach today, so we wanted to get them that data on the actual roll stiffness differences between full soft and full stiff. So you drove them obviously in both to collect that data, so do you want to just talk a bit about how the car felt in both of those scenarios to begin with?
Yeah, so initially the car in the soft setting actually felt quite compliant. The balance was quite good,
yep.
But you could just feel it wasn't quite supporting particularly the front as I wanted to, because it was just rolling over a little bit, which meant I didn't have the confidence in the front because it wasn't pushing the tyre into the ground.
Okay.
And that just meant I had to slow the car down just a little bit more to get the car into the corner.
Yeah.
But the drive out was really good. Actually, the back was pretty stable, which is what we've been looking for in this car for a little while.
Yeah.
But it just, the front was letting it down in that respect.
Okay.
So then we moved to the stiff,
Yeah.
and straight away just rolling out the pits, I could feel this high frequency coming through the car, and I was like, okay, interesting. And the sensation is that, yeah, okay, it sort of gave me a bit more communication, but the tyre wasn't like biting into the ground.
Yeah.
And again, the front end felt a little bit limiting. That then, of course, kicked the back end, because whilst the front wasn't biting, I felt I had to crank a little bit more lock in,
Okay.
which then overcame the rear and really made that unstable, particularly on entry and
actually
mid.
Back to how we had the car very early days,
Yeah.
before the camber plates were fitted, where you were getting apex understeer due to lack of camber.
Yes.
You were winding lock on to compensate for understeer, and then that was getting the back.
Yeah, but you could feel this shudder in the steering, that you could feel that the tyre was just skipping across it rather than having the compliance of pushing a little bit and dig in.
Yeah.
It was just sort of skirting on the top.
So that's really interesting, because that's similar to our GT4 damper tuning video, where
Yeah.
we were cranking up the bump
Yeah.
and all the compression.
Basically
Till
trying
we got the car
to get that, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So we achieved that with the stiffs, the roll bar apex. So then when we got both data pools, and again, the overlay of the data was really interesting as well with the laser sensors.
Yeah, never something I've seen before, so that was cool to try and really interpret that.
Physically see that it was actually rolling less by an exact amount, which
Yeah.
we will have already covered in this video, but that was really cool to see. Like, very excited to see it actually come together.
Yeah, you'll understand that more than I.
Yeah. And then obviously we started anti-roll bar tuning. So then we moved back to middle, because that's where you should be starting from.
Yes.
When you're tuning your roll bar. So you've got room to go either way.
Yeah.
So we started middle front, middle rear, and then you headed out on that. So how did that feel, and what were the limitations, and what did you want to change when you came back in?
Yeah, so that gave me a better front, which is what I wanted, just to,
Yeah.
to lean the front into the car. But again, similar to what it did with the stiff, it meant that the back was then too much,
Yeah.
but more on initial entry rather than in the middle of the corner. So we went back to that moving, and then the drive off was okay, but I was still like, more often than not in the corner, like a straight wheel or slightly oversteery rather than turning it through the corner. So the car was pivoting around the front axle just a bit too much.
Okay. Cool, so yeah, that's what you fed back when you came in. So at that point, we left the front in middle, and then we moved the rear to soft.
Yeah.
Because you can do two things in that scenario. If you've got that sort of that oversteer tendency, you can either stiffen the front or you can soften the rear. But because we'd already had the car out in full stiff front and rear, and you'd already relayed that the front didn't really like being in full stiff, it was a bit too much for the tyre on the front axle, we chose to give grip to the back instead of take away from the front. And which is always the way you should go on the car as well. If you can give grip to an axle by going a bit softer, do that, because the car will be overall faster. If we were already in full soft at that point, we could have moved the front to full stiff and lost from the front to give to the back.
Yeah.
But we weren't in that scenario. We had a middle front, so we went soft rear, and then you headed back out. So how did that feel?
That struck a really nice balance, and oddly, actually, for the first time today, I managed to get another flying lap out of the car because the back wasn't moving around so much. It wasn't overheating the rear tyres, particularly the left rear, so I could have another push lap, which was quite nice. And then, of course, that made me feel a bit brave, so I really sent it up into the corner into rocket, and it was like, it will not carry that much speed. So the balance and the sensation was really nice. I then started pushing the car a little bit too much, and to make it almost overdrive it to do what I wanted it to see if it would take it.
But that's a nice place to be in, where you've got the car to a point where driver confidence increases so much. You actually feel like you can play with it. Because with the GT4 series, like we've got that car now where I feel like I can play with that car on track and I'm not scared of its limits. And it sounds like this is now getting to that position where it has a more playful limit as opposed to
I mean, 130 mile an hour corner on approach is probably not the place people should start to give it a push, but it's a place where I think, I reckon I can do this.
It's slightly different though.
So and it just gave me that confidence. There was a little bit in the rear still, but I think we're coming across, we've done a few laps today with the tyre, but also more the damper now. I think actually the balance on the roll bars is fine. I think it's now the damper that's limiting us rather than the physical roll bars that we've got on the car.
Yeah, exactly. In his next episode, we are actually going to be installing some really cool coilovers to this car.
Okay, cool.
And then, of course, at that point, we're going to be speccing our own spring rates. We're going to be testing different coil spring rates to behave, like pitch behavior and things like that. So at that point, we will actually have to tune the roll bars again because we're going to be changing the fundamental spring package. But what we can say for sure is that with Eibach lowering springs, stock shocks, and the Eibach roll bar sphere, so effectively a really nice club sport package. So really usable on the road in this form. Not massively expensive to get like really expensive coilovers on there, so it's a really nice package for sort of a club sport spec. So with that package, we can go full soft rear, middle front, and we've got a really nice balance out the box.
Yeah, just on the cool down laps, because it's a short compressed lap and there's some big stop. I'm doing a good couple of cool down laps and then much more road speed. I know I've got a nice surface, but you can feel the harshness isn't there in the car, so the dampers are still doing a good thing. So that club sport spec would be bang on.
Awesome. Well, thanks again for driving.
Pleasure.
Yeah, we can't wait to get you back in it after the next few chunks of upgrades.
I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah. All right.
So that is how you tune adjustable anti-roll bars at the track, and they really are a great upgrade to make to your chassis because they give so much in the corners and they don't impact the car in a straight line as aggressively. If you haven't already, make sure to subscribe to the channel because we've got a lot more coming for this build in particular, and we also have a lot more technical content coming soon in general as well.